Hi guys, good morning, good afternoon. Today I'm going to explain the network security fundamentals. It is necessary to know the fundamentals of network security because without knowing fundamentals, it's difficult to manage the advanced security features of network security. This is the definition of network security. Network security is the mechanism to provide security to the network or network segments. Network segments means the part of network. It can be a smaller network which is the part of the bigger network, including the attached devices to the network. Attached devices means it can be a computer, laptop, and mobile devices. Those are connected to the network, and that is protected from the unauthorized access, threats, risks, and data breaches. The main objective of network security is to maintain CIA. If you know CIA triad, it's a part of three things: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Confidentiality means it is to protect the data for the unauthorized access. If you transferring data from uh, one machine to one client, or it can be client or computer to server, so confidentiality should be maintained because if any attacker compromise your information, so that the attacker can use that information for their uh, benefits, or it can harm to you. So confidentiality should be maintained, and confidentiality maintained by the encryption. Encryption, I'll explain in another lecture. Okay, and another one is integrity. Integrity is called the it's called to protect the any alteration of the data when you transferring the some information to the uh, another machine or user or server. The integrity should be maintained because integrity means is to maintain the integrity of the data. Means if you are sending uh, some information, it should not be altered by the attacker. If attacker compromise your data, and the attacker uh, modify that information, so that integrity will be lost. Availability means suppose you are an employee of any organization, and you are working on the server. It can be a web server, it can be a database, or it can be a SAP, for the example. So if you are not accessible, if you are not able to access the server to do your job, so that it will be a loss of the uh, productivity, or it can be a loss of business for the organization. So availability should be maintained. In this slide, it explains the importance, benefits of network security. One more thing, in my previous slide, one more thing I am going to tell you. The network security is the responsibility of network administrator, which is the network administrator apply the security rules and uh, protection on the network. So is the sole responsibility of network security administrator to secure your network. Okay. Here, network security helps in protecting any organizations or individual users information and data to ensure authorized access, to protect your information or data, uh, to protect for unauthorized access, so that your data will not be breached to any unauthorized user or attacker. The second one is network security protects the organizations from data losses or any security incident which may result in huge losses for any organizations. Its overall protects the reputation of the organization as it protects confidential information and data either in transit or in rest. Transit or in rest means when you are transferring the data from one source to another destination. So when the data is transferring over the network, it can be a internet. Suppose internet is the medium to transfer the information. So internet is the untrusted network. Everyone knows. So whenever you transfer the data, it should be protected while transferring. And the data in rest means if you have uh, stored data on any server. Nowadays, the cloud storage. So if you have stored some information on the cloud storage, so their data should be protected, uh, or data should be confidential. So the attackers cannot use that information for their any unethical way. In my next slide, I am explaining types of network security devices. There is four type of devices I'm going to explain here. The first one is active devices, passive devices, preventive devices, and UTM. Active devices, it applies the control over the essential traffic such as firewall, antivirus, scanning devices, content filtering devices are the example of such devices. Those are part of the active devices. And passive devices means these devices identify and report an unwanted traffic. That is example of IDS. IDS device is just analyze the traffic and uh, send create a report which that reports can be used by the network security administrators, and based on the report, uh, the security administrator action can take on the action. The third one is preventive devices. These devices scan the network segments and identify potential security problems. Example, penetration testing devices and vulnerability assessment appliances. Okay. The last one is UTM. These devices serve as all-in-one security devices. Why we call UTM all-in-one devices? Because the UTM devices can filter traffic from layer 2 to layer 7, and it works as a firewall as well as content filtering and web filtering. The another in this slide, I am going to explain key parts of network security. And there is the multiple parts of network security, that is access control, application security, firewalls, virtual private network, which is called VPN, behavioral analytics, wireless security, and IPS. The first one is access control. To keep out potential attackers, you should be able to block unauthorized users and devices from accessing your network. Users that are permitted network access should only be to work with the set of resources for which they have been authorized. So in this control, we have to uh, limited access to the unauthorized users. The another one is application security. Application security includes the hardware, it can be a software, and it can be a process that can be used to track and lock down application vulnerabilities that attackers can use to infiltrate your network. The another one is firewall. A firewall is a device or service. It can be a hardware, it can be a software. In a traditional way, mostly we have a hardware firewalls. But nowadays, when applications and servers hosted in the cloud, so in the cloud we don't have hardware. We have mostly software, and we hosted firewall as a software on the cloud, so that we control our traffic or network access to the servers. Those are in the hosted in the cloud. And next one is VPN, which is called virtual private network. A virtual private network encrypts the connection from an endpoint to a network, often over the internet. Mostly we use VPN over the internet communication. Suppose we have a head office and we have a branch office and we have an internet connection. So for secure communication, we use IPsec most of the time, and so that the branch users can access the data center applications via the secure network, and it's called VPN. The most famous term is IPsec for the VPN over the internet. This way, it authenticates the communication between a device and a secure network, creating a secure, encrypted tunnel across the open internet. The next one is behavioral analytics. You should know what normal behavior looks like so that you can spot anomalies or network breaches as they happen. Behavioral analytics tools automatically identify activities that deviate from the norms or the criteria we have identified over the tool. Those are used for the behavioral analytics. The next one is wireless security. You know, wireless network is less secure than the wired one. Uh, cyber criminal cyber criminals are increasingly targeting mobile devices and apps. So you need to control which devices can access your network. The last one is IPS, intrusion prevention system. These systems scan network traffic to identify and block attacks, often by correlating network activity signatures with databases of known attack techniques. So these are some way of implementing network security. Apart from these, you need a variety of software and hardware tools in your uh, toolkit to ensure network security. Those are firewalls, packet crafters, web scanners, packet sniffers, intrusion detection systems, penetration testing software. Network security is essential for overall cyber security because network is a significant line of defense against external attack. Given that virtually all data and applications are connected to the network, or we can say attached to the network. Robust network security protects against data breaches. The next one is common network security vulnerabilities. So these are the common security network breaches. Common network security vulnerabilities. Those should know for the organization's network security administrator, or those are maintaining the security in the organization. The first one is hardware and software not properly installed. If the hardware, it can be a firewall, it can be a network device, and software, if not properly installed, then it can be a vulnerable for the attackers. The next one is not up to date operating system or firmware. Uh, if the firmware or operating system of the device is not up to date, uh, that may be a reason for the it can be a vulnerable, because time to time the vulnerabilities if found in the operating system or firmware, so they should be fixed on time. The next one is misused hardware and software. Suppose an employee have access of the software and hardware, and if he misused that hardware or software, that can be a harmful of the for the organization. The next one is insecure platform. Suppose any platform or OS which is not secure, and we are using in our organization for the day-to-day work, so it can be a vulnerable. The last one is failing the design or lack of design in devices or OS or network. If the OS operating system or network or device hardware is not designed properly in a secure way, that can be a vulnerable to the attackers, so that attackers can use that vulnerability in the design and compromise our network or the device or operating system. The most important thing, which is physical security of devices. So physical security of devices is very important, and it should be taken care by the security admins. You must also consider the physical security of of the various devices, such as network devices like router, switches, firewall, servers, and systems that are used to power and maintain your network. If a network is physically vulnerable, it does not matter how strong or extensive its security is. Whatever security you have applied, it doesn't matter if physically security is not properly maintained in the organization the for that network devices. Because if someone can gain physical access to any of these items, the entire network can be compromised, and that could be harmful for the network. The the first one is storing network servers and devices in a secure location. So the network devices, those are critical. They are uh, stored generally stored in the data center, and data center is logged, and it has access to the only authorized users, or those are the maintenance team. It can be a networking, it can be a uh, server team, because server are uh, placed in the data center. And if the access going to provide any guest user, so that information should be properly logged in the log database or in the log file. The next one is denying open access to this location to members of your organization. So this location should not be open for the normal users, because it is a critical location, because it's a we can say backbone of the organization. The another one is video surveillance. Surveillance is a key play a key role to monitoring the devices uh, access in the data center or in any place which is secure. Which should be secure. The next one is type of network security attacks. The first one is data theft, and insider attack. The next one is malware attack, password attack, and the last one is social engineering. Data theft. Data theft, also called data exfiltration. Data theft occurs when an attacker uses their unauthorized access to obtain private information from the network. Attackers frequently use stolen login credentials to read protected files or steal the data while it is in transit or in rest between two network devices. The next one is insider attack. As it names uh, indicates, the insider. It can be a employee of an organization. These employees use their own access to infiltrate the network and obtain sensitive or private company information to the attackers. The next one is malware attack. A malware attack occurs when a malicious code or malware or malicious software inserts into the system of the inside of the organization systems. Unauthorized software onto a network device. Malware can easily spread from one device to another, and it making it very difficult to get it off entirely because malware can be spread very faster into the network. And in the network of the organization, we may have a hundred or thousand of the devices. So it's very difficult to identify uh, which uh, which system is compromised by the malware attack. The next one is password attacks. Any type of attack that involves someone attempting to use a password illegitimately is considered to be a password attack. The attacker may obtain access either by guessing, stealing, or cracking a password by the third party software tools. It can be a software tools of the third party, which can be randomly generate the password, and the attackers can use that password to gain the unauthorized access. The next one is social engineering. These attacks use deception and falsehoods to convince others to give up private information, such as an account password, or to violate security protocols. Social engineering attacks often target people who are not technical, and they are not aware about the attacks or social engineering. So those type of users easily targeted by the attackers, but they may also target technical support staff with false request for help. Suppose uh, we have a technical support team in our organization, and I called to the technical staff and say, I am a VP of this organization and I lost my password, please reset my password and send it to me. So that type of activity can be a part of social engineering. The next one is network protection tips and tricks. The first one is grant access only to authorized person. So we have to find out the authorized persons, and we have to provide access only those persons those are authorized, and that activity should be logged properly for audit purpose. The next one is follow password best practices. Sometimes we bother to use the complex password, so it is the easy way to attack guess the password by the attackers. So the password should be complex and in, in proper uh, length, so that the password should not be cracked easily by the attackers. Secure servers and devices. Devices and servers should be secure and placed in a secure place, so that physical access will be granted only to the authorized persons. Test your security. Test your security means time to time you have to organize the test of the security vulnerabilities, and if you found the vulnerabilities, then you have to fix them immediately without delay, because the attackers can use that vulnerability and gain access in as a unauthorized access. Okay. Now, thank you so much for your patience and your support. Bye. Take care.